everyone, this is Sharon with Authentically Visions, and this is an energy update for the week of July 13th through July 19th. So we just moved through a week this past week where we were integrating and are still continuing to integrate the rippling out of the eclipse season that we just moved through. You may have felt that this past week brought up a lot of emotion, brought up a lot of dynamics in relationships, in connections, in work, in business. So a lot of truths that were arising and also a need for clearer and strong boundaries as well, inviting us to rise more fully into sharing our truth and standing strong in that. With this energy that has been rippling out, it has also amplified some aggression as well, as this kind of toxic purge has been happening through this whole experience, through this entire year so far, but it is continuing to amplify. As the frenetic energy of this dismantling process is occurring in the world, the scattering of this erratic energy and suppressed shadow sides of each person are really coming up and being purged out in very volatile ways at times. So there's a lot of that going on in the collective presently, and especially with what the eclipses have kicked up in our lives and within us. So it really kind of dredged up all of the gunk from the bottom of the lake almost and brought it up to the surface. So if it feels even more amplified right now, it's because it is, because the alignments have served to really do a cleansing, kind of a toxic cleansing. So it's still coming up and out, and it will continue to amplify as we move even deeper into this alchemical year. These suppressed truths are a dismantling of polarity, a dismantling of power dynamics, in our individual lives and also in our relationships. And this can be really uncomfortable, and it can be rather challenging at times to hold strong to your truth and to not be swayed by all of these waves and all of these different purges that are happening within you and also around you. This is calling for us to be more authentic and to really hold strong to our sense of compassion and truth within ourselves, to really anchor into what we feel is true to ourselves, what we are resonating with, and holding strong to that. And if we are expressed or have some kind of situation that triggers us or challenges us in a sense, this is a test or an initiation that we are moving through to really allow us to look even deeper into what we hold true for ourselves. So if you can see any kind of trigger as that experience, that it is a lesson of growth, to really allow yourself to move much more deeper into what you are aligning with. And also to allow yourself to express from a very authentic space, to set clear boundaries for yourself, and to know when to step away if something becomes very heated, if something becomes very unhealthy or toxic that we are engaging with, that you can step away, that you don't have to engage with it, even if it is a very healing moment for both sides. These uncomfortable boundaries that are presenting themselves lately are really coming up, especially following this eclipse passageway that we've just moved through, to really allow ourselves to bring about that sense of sovereignty, to let us create from that place of authenticity, and to know that we can hold strong to who we are. And that form of expression coming from our throat centers and allowing us to speak to others from a place that is that place of authenticity, aside from any triggers that may have arisen, is a practice in itself. So it is strengthening that practice within us right now. Because when you are triggered by something, emotion comes up, emotion arises in that moment, and it can be really challenging to set boundaries, to speak from that place of truth, and also to make decisions in that moment, because the emotions of irritation, of anger, or anything that's arising for you may cloud the clarity of acting or deciding in that moment, and even clouding the words that are coming out to be expressed. So this is a very pivotal point to allow us to strengthen this, even though it's uncomfortable and it's not fun to move through. Any challenges that are arising are a gift to let you strengthen this ability within yourself. So if you do find yourself triggered as the space of aggression, as this quality of aggression is really arising on the planet, as we're continuing to move through this process and we're feeling limited in certain ways, we're not feeling very expansive in how we are used to maneuvering in the world, this can bring about all of these emotions. And so this toxic purge that's coming out is all of this irritation that everyone has been feeling surrounding what we're moving through. So if you are triggered in a moment by someone, if someone's expressing an opinion to you and you don't necessarily agree with it, just allow yourself to check in with that emotion that's coming up for you. And are you moving from a place where you are calm and centered and you are allowing yourself to speak your truth aside from any reaction that might be moving through you? Because the moment that we allow ourselves to calm down and we don't act in an impulsive way, then we are patiently maneuvering from more of a still point, and we aren't rushing into any kind of expression or regretting something that we may say to another that may be hurtful or may be something that we feel like we can't take back. So be very mindful of your emotions in these times, and as the months pan out, of how you are reacting, and if you are sharing something, expressing something to another person in that space of reaction. If you can step away, or if you can breathe into it and just allow yourself to calm and remember the place that you really truly want to share from. And that's a place of inner knowing that we are truly all connected, that we are truly all one, that this polarity is really just a big game. And yes, it's very real. We do have these triggers. We have our shadow selves kind of bumping up against each other and making a mess of things at times. But to remember the core of what really matters, and that is that we are all one. And when we move from that place, we move from that place of unconditional love, regardless of how someone is perceiving something that may be different from our own opinion, then we can see how healing is needed in that moment. And we can move more from an authentic space and less from a triggering space that divides us. So this is a good lesson to remember as we move to the later parts of this year. And also a theme that has been coming up as of late is the creation of our visions. To really create now from a space of integrity and authenticity. As we move towards standing more in our truth, we move towards standing more in our sovereignty and empowered selves, as the eclipse season did a big gutting of a lot of old stuff, a lot of old cycles. A new self is coming up to the forefront to be seen, to be shared. And from that place, we are creating our future. And so this is a good time to question for yourself. Are you creating from a place of triggering, of fear, of aggression? Are you creating from a place of that unconditional authenticity that we are all connected and that we can help to build a greater future? We can help to build a greater vision so that we can all benefit. And you can be that light in the storm, to not get sucked up in the illusion of all of this tug of war, of everything that is very disconnecting at the moment. To hold strong to that truth, that you were built for these times, to continue to hold the light, even as messy and ugly as things may get. Just keep holding strong to that space of your heart, and to move from that place in order to co-create and to take back your power by creating your greatest vision of what you want to move forward towards. So from this place, this is a good time to also question, what are you attached to? What are you feeling still attached to in your life that you may have relied on in a sense that is not healthy? And that is also a theme that has been coming up, is looking at our attachments, looking at the places where we feel as though we are dependent on something, and that if it were to dissolve out of our lives, that we would feel powerless in that. So not wishing that upon anyone, but it's a good lesson of just seeing the different parts of our lives where we have felt so attached to something, whether that be our relationships, whether that be our jobs, whether that be certain resources in our lives. And these are not easy things to look at, and also not easy things to let go of those attachments, because of course we need that comfort. It's enjoyable to feel that comfort of the resources, the foundations of those relationships, of the job, but also to know that within our attachments lies a sense of distrust at times. Because if we are so grasping or clinging on to something, that we aren't allowing that fluidity of life and the possibility of changes and shifts that can occur in life. And ultimately, what lies at the root of anything changing, anything releasing, and anything that may morph in our futures is truly a space of trust. For when we lean into trust and we have an innate knowing that we will be taken care of, regardless of what happens in our lives and in the world, then we know that we don't necessarily need to be attached to anything. What we can connect ourselves to is that infinite connection to Source. that infinite connection to our own hearts, to our own sense of inner knowing. So with that being said, there is a phrase that has been coming up to share for this week, and it is sinking into the heart of humanity is what's been coming up. And what that means is small acts of compassion, small acts of kindness or synchronicity that may have been showing up in your life lately. Really inviting you to look upon those and to emphasize those. And any place where you're feeling that you are uncertain, where you are feeling that you are in fear, or there's aggression coming up, or there's disconnect with others, to really highlight those tiny moments in your life where maybe you've had an exchange with a stranger that has been enjoyable, that has been full of kindness, full of compassion. Maybe you've had an exchange with another person that's a loved one, a friend, a coworker, a practitioner, anyone that has felt like they've shared some kind of spark in your life lately that really lit you up in a way that any other time it may not have felt as enormous. But it's as though the polarities or the disconnects of these times that we've been moving through has highlighted even more the acts of connection. So if you can see that dynamic playing out in your life, I invite you to sink even more into the heart of humanity and to share your own heart with others in certain ways, because the same way that you can offer this place of compassion or spark of kindness and connection with another person is how enormous that effect will be upon them as well. So where can you share more of this with others in your daily life, in your regular experiences as you're going about your life, or even if you're just reaching out, if you're at home mostly and you just want to connect over the phone, online somehow, and just let someone know that you care. These are really, really powerful acts that we can do in these times, and they can really counteract anything else that may be coming up that is causing discomfort or disconnect. So I hope that you have a beautiful week ahead. If you do need additional support, I'm offering remote services and in-person sessions. You can learn more about them at intelleckyvisions.com. I invite you to like and subscribe to this channel as it does help to support. I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you for listening.